Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Morning Markets today from True Potential. We'll be looking at just some of the asset market performance from yesterday and then looking forward to the day ahead. So just looking at asset markets in general yesterday, I think we continue to see an improvement in equity market sentiment and equity market prices. I think a couple of factors really influencing that. The first of which was probably better economic data for the Eurozone on the fourth quarter of 2020 in terms of the economic performance, so GDP coming in a little bit better than expected. And also just some of the a change in sentiment around some of those stocks that have performing exceptionally well in terms of the likes of GameStop, AMC Entertainment, as they have that narrative around that trade has definitely waned over the past couple of days, and we've seen quite significant stock price reactions on the negative side in a number of those names. And that, to an extent, is not surprising, given that some of the issues that were driving those prices higher have corrected themselves. And by that I mean two things. One, the narrative discussion on Reddit has definitely changed, but also the activity of those that had been short the stock, so they'd sold it in anticipation of the price falling. Clearly, as that price rises, risk mitigation kicks in, collateral requirements kick in, and they've had to buy that stock in the market. So whilst that did exacerbate the situation last week, it's removed one of those supportive factors for that type of trade at this point in time. So we've seen share prices there correct quite significantly. I think the other thing just to touch on is what we've been seeing in the bond market as well in terms of inflation expectations, and that ties into some of the comments that we've been making around the ISM manufacturing data points over the past couple of months, that we've seen input prices continue to increase. That is feeding into inflation expectations, and inflation expectations continue to move higher. So we're probably at 2.15% in terms of inflation expectations in the US. That's quite a change from where we were in March of last year, but just that continues to build, and something that we've touched on is an important area to monitor over coming days and weeks indeed. That feeds into the bond market. We've seen the Treasury yield curve in the US continue to steepen, and that is supportive of some of those areas of the market that we've discussed in terms of financials and also the ongoing opening of the economy. So that reflation trade that's been discussed is supported by that move that we're seeing. Also, just within commodity markets, I think it's worth noting, and it ties back to that inflation point, we've continued to see the oil price move up. We're now at $57 a barrel for Brent. And that's an important change that we've seen over the past number of months, and it's been supported by improving economic activity, also by the discipline that OPEC and OPEC Plus has shown to curtail supply into the market. And also just overnight we continue to get some information about the drawdown of stockpiles in the likes of the US and China, and that's just providing a degree of support to the oil price at this point in time. But again, that feeds into inflation expectations, particularly as we move through the next couple of months, where we will annualise on the very low oil price that we had in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis last year. So that will be an important dynamic for markets to absorb and to consider. Political developments as well. I've touched on Italy a number of weeks ago, just looking at some of the challenges that Giuseppe Conte had there in terms of the coalition government. Now it looks like he is unable to reform that coalition government. The president there is seeking to build another coalition government, and he's asked Mario Draghi to step in and try and see if he can form a coalition government at this point in time. I think that's important for two reasons. One, Mario Draghi's experience with former president of the ECB. He was the one that navigated the ECB through some very difficult times in his career. And secondly, really there's a need to form a coalition government at this point, because having an election process in the midst of this COVID-19 situation that we're experiencing globally and that Italy is experiencing would be probably problematic and would just increase a bit of uncertainty into the Eurozone at this point in time. Probably not really something that's required. If we look at just some of the things for the day ahead, we'll get a lot of PMI data points primarily around the services industries. We've had an initial reading from China, the Caixin services PMI, and we've seen that come off from 56.3 last month down to 52 this month. Large proportion of that's been attributed to just that rising uncertainty around COVID-19 infection rates within China, and also how that may or may not impact Lunar New Year plans and travel arrangements there, which is a very busy time both economically and also for the services industry in China. Asia markets overnight, we've seen a pretty positive performance coming through. That in the main is supported by a number of those points that we've been discussing, but also really the results that continue to come through in the US and indeed globally for the fourth quarter of 2020. So we had very strong results from a number of technology businesses last night, but also from those that are benefiting from the delivery dynamics that we're all receiving at this point in time, be it the UPS, the Amazon deliveries, etc. So delivery companies also benefiting. So good results helping buoy a bit of sentiment as well this morning. I'll leave it there. Please do subscribe on our YouTube channel. I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow. Many thanks.
Subscribing to True Potential YouTube channel is quick and easy. Simply go to your YouTube app on your phone, type in True Potential and press the red subscribe option. You'll then be notified as and when new videos are released.